Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the great witnesses and all who are attending. As the chairman mentioned, this subcommittee has one of the longest titles of any subcommittee in the Senate. It's 15 words. Maybe somebody can beat us. But it is important to note that while the regional focus of the subcommittee is the Western Hemisphere, all of the foreign relations subcommittees also have subject matter jurisdictions. And it's really, really good that this jurisdiction focuses on human rights and other really important issues. And the chair and I have agreed that while the majority of our hearings will likely be within the hemisphere, we will also do some global hearings like this one on important human rights issues, which are obviously important in the Western Hemisphere as well. As we begin, I'm going to address one topic at the beginning that ties into the hearing today. It's really important for me and my constituents in Virginia because Virginia is home to many thousands of dedicated public servants, including those who work at the State Department and related agencies. The rifts in recent weeks at State have really focused on efforts to dismantle the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor at State. I'm not sure our adversaries have vigorous human rights portfolios where they think about human rights around the world and try to influence them in a positive direction. And I'm not sure that their ministries of foreign affairs really focus so much on these issues as we do. It's been a hallmark of this committee and of our State Department generally that this has been a priority across administrations of both parties. To the State Department employees whose morale is pretty low now, and those of you who've received RIF notices, I just want to say I really admire your devotion to public service. I have visited with you all over the globe. I commend you for wanting to make the world a safer place and standing up for human rights values. We can proudly proclaim them, even though we need to be humble always about our own efforts and the need to do more both at home and abroad. Whether through political means, judicial redress of grievances, legislative advocacy, or organizing, please stay engaged. And it's directly relevant to our hearing today. I would like to introduce, Mr. Chair, an article from June 6, 2025, the Washington Post. Chinese propaganda surges as the U.S. defunds Radio Free Asia. If I could ask that to be entered into the record.
Without objection.
The proposed U.S. 2026 fiscal year budget proposes to take 82% of the funding out of our global media efforts. And we need to fight disinformation in the information space. We're not only laying people off, we're hobbling those efforts. I don't think we can safely assume that we can take the State Department's pro-human rights, pro-democracy efforts and just subsume them within the regionals and have the priority be what they need to be. I also believe that the rescissions package that we passed like last week will do additional damage to this important priority. And I do think it's important for the U.S., again, with the humility about our own imperfections, to continue to stand up for folks around the world who are under the thumb of authoritarians and dictators, and you can't do that without people. All right, this is a really timely hearing, and we're going to hear from witnesses about their assessment of where democratic values and human rights stand in Hong Kong, as the chair said, 5 years after the enactment of the national security law. As you all might know, the PRC imposed this law 5 years ago on Hong Kong to clamp down on civil society following large-scale protests against a bill allowing the extradition of fugitives to mainland China, which many in Hong Kong viewed as directly in contravention with commitments that the PRC had made with respect to the status of Hong Kong and those living there. Some of the drastic impacts of implementation of the law, including a chilling effect on activists, political opposition groups, dissidents, and other civil society stakeholders. Let me give a couple of quick examples. Hong Kong National Security Police have arrested the father and brother of activist Anna Kwok for allegedly dealing with her finances. This is the first use of the city's security law to deal with the relatives of activists who have had to flee Hong Kong in fear of retaliation. Many activists, including Ms. Joyce Su, who's here today, have bounties for their capture based on spurious accusations about their human rights work being driven by collusion with foreign actors, as if people who live in Hong Kong can't have their own desire for human rights. Why would human rights have to be something that could only be ginned up by collusion with foreign actors rather than something that lives within the heart of freedom-loving people anywhere in the world? Let me be very clear. Oh, I also wanted to mention Jimmy Lai, who is still in prison, has been described by Amnesty International as a prisoner of conscience. Protesting should not be a crime. Demanding to live in a free and democratic society should not be a crime. Speaking out against authoritarianism should not be a crime. I look forward to hearing from all of our witnesses today about their experience being unjustly persecuted for wanting to live in a democratic society, their assessment of where the U.S. policy has had success or could have more success, how Congress can play a role in fostering democracy and respect for human rights. The shared values of democracy, freedom of expression, rule of law should remain at the core of our foreign policy. I know the chairman of this subcommittee believes deeply in that, and I do as well. Let me turn it back over to the chair to introduce the witnesses and then get this hearing underway. I see the vote still hasn't started, so we may be able to do a really long hearing before we have to go vote.